I've got perfect balance. I can. Whoa. Right. Okay. We're streaming. We're everything. Let me just like advertise this. Yeah, let me advertise this really quick. Oh, that's a save to watch later. Alright. Let me just like advertise this. Okay, that's the stream delay is actually crazy. But we're not gonna worry. Where's my streams channel? And then let me go to the stage, because we're also on the stage. Whoa. Right. We have important thing to do now. We have to watch the tutorial. Whoa.
Let's start modding for Fabric in Minecraft 26.1. If you want to go deeper, the 26.x
Oh, yo, it's Aguri see me. How if I say his name?
modding courses are linked down below. 30 plus hours covering complex block entities with fluid and energy handling, custom mobs, custom networking, and even custom biomes and dimensions. Everything you need for 26.x all in one place, linked down below in the description. Alright, and here we go with the 26.1 tutorials for Fabric. It's going to be absolutely spectacular. And let's, of course, over here, we're going to start by, first of all...
Okay, maybe I should like... Yeah, perfect. Right, split. Yay. Right.
Installing an IDE. With that being said, always take a look at the description or the pinned comment for compatibility, as right now we're doing this for 26.1.2, and in the future there might be some changes. It is bound to happen, okay? We're gonna start over here by installing an IDE, IntelliJ of course, my beloved, and...
Okay, we're gonna... Yeah, well, see, I kind of have to learn it out, because if I don't learn it out, then I don't have anyone who can code my plugin for my server that I want to do. So I just kind of have to learn. I've been putting it off for like 2 weeks. Like I came up with the idea for my SMP, and I was like, oh, I need a developer. And I was like, oh wait, I know how to do Python. I can probably learn Java. Like I know the logic somewhat.
here a very important point. There is only one download left, and yes, this does include the ultimate subscription trial, but it is a free download. You do not have to pay for IntelliJ Ultimate. Please,
Wow.
for the love of God, I know that it can sometimes be complicated, but you just download IntelliJ IDEA right here, and then you just keep using it for free.
I can download.
You do not need the ultimate subscription.
Well, I mean, you can join, bro. I have a Discord, bro. I have a Discord, bro. Join my Discord. It'll have information, I guess. I actually haven't finished the Starlight Discord, which is the scripted SMP.
For what we're doing over here, for our purposes, for basically making Minecraft mods. The free community version that is included in this download is...
Long day. Long day. A long day. Oh god, this is gonna take more than 2 minutes.
more than enough. You then install IntelliJ.
Okay, I'm not even there yet. Okay, that's not one. It's probably pretty much the same, but alright. Okay, I get it. OBS reconnection. Oh my god, bro. Why is OBS bugging? How is this thing still not downloaded? Guys, do we watch some YouTube shorts whilst we wait for this to download? Is this actually downloading or not? Okay, opening when complete. Yeah, beautiful.
I don't know, chap.
If you've ever tried to buy, you're really cute. Can I get your number?
This is my dog Gus. I recently trained him how to bite balls, so don't f with me. He's very good with intruders. He rips their nuts at cleanup. What are you looking at? No, don't you do it. This is my dog Gus.
When I was in the hospital after my accident that I had about 4 years ago, and we found out that I wasn't gonna necessarily die, but I was gonna survive, and my leg wasn't necessarily gonna be completely amputated.
Wait, I'm gonna end the Discord one, cause Discord is so laggy, and we're gonna have OBS only. And I'm also, oh my god, I don't have to use OBS. Right, we're gonna pray that this downloads in time.
My right leg, which I'm standing on right now.
How expensive is a full day living in a car? Well, I woke up to some pretty bad news since my battery died overnight. My car wouldn't turn on, so I had to cop a jumper cable and kindly ask some strangers to help me out. They were too nice to accept the money I offered for their help, but I guess it was good for us because my next mission was to pimp out my car, aka just make it good enough to sleep and travel in. The sunshade is so annoying because it falls, so I just made the easiest fix in duct tape. I also got this curtain and I was gonna cut it up and tape it to the windows at night, but I felt like I'd messed that up, so I decided I'd just close it in the door at night.
Oh my goodness, broski joined.
This thing doesn't have an aux cord or even a working radio. On the trip down to LA from the Bay Area, I only had to get gas once, but I did stop for quite a bit of snacks along the way because I'm planning to start tomorrow with a 12-mile hike and I needed some fuel. I didn't want to be lame and stop at a chain restaurant, so I got these tacos from a food truck. They were so good, and horchata that was even better, but one of the sauces I put on was legitimately hotter than the gummy bear challenge that I've...
Okay, I don't even know what I'm listening to. Oh! Okay, it's opening. It's opening, guys. Guys. It's about to be complete. It's about to be complete. This is so tough. This is so skibbity sigma. Okay, it's opening. Oh my god, it's opening. It's opening.
Onto your PC like any other program. If you already have a previous version, it will prompt you to uninstall that and then only install the new version. If that does not happen for you, then it's just going to switch to, there we go, installing the new version, which is exactly what we're going to do. That is okay. You theoretically do not have to add any of the installation options. Click next, install, and then once again, we're just going to wait until this has installed like any other program onto your PC, and we'll continue after that. There we go.
If you make a new long video, I could maybe hype it. Oh yeah, bro, I need hypes, bro. I need the hypes. See, I think I have a long form video coming. It's just a bunch of PvP clips. I get 2v1 and I'm tough and I'm Sigma. What is wrong with me? What am I saying in my life? What am I genuinely saying in my life? Let's wait for this to download. Let's wait for this to download. Let's wait for this to download. I might be autistic, bro. Do we take an autism test tomorrow? Do we do an autism test stream? Should I genuinely do an autism test stream? Like, bro. Alright. Download faster, please. Download faster. This is taking me forever. IntelliJ. Okay.
IntelliJ IDEA has been installed, and we're going to click the Run IntelliJ IDEA over here, which will bring up a window which we're going to take a look at in a second.
Okay, I'm going to wait for my window to... Oh.
First things first, I do want to give you a couple of pointers. And
yeah, what's the pointers?
Start with, of course, the Hightail N Minecraft Modding Java introduction here from 2026. I highly recommend you get yourself some Java knowledge. I know that I say this every single time in...
Yeah, we're gonna have to do this, guys. Yeah. Okay, I know data types. probably. Input out. Okay. Integer math errors. Oh. Oh no.
every one of the setup tutorials, but I will say it one more time. If you have no Java knowledge at all, then following this series is going to be very difficult for you because we're dealing with Java. It is what it is. So I do highly recommend, if you want to deepen your Java knowledge, now is the best time to do so. This introduction over here is I think it's absolutely amazing. I've really put my heart and soul into this one. So I really think that you're gonna come out of that particular tutorial series with
Alright, see ya, bruh.
way more knowledge than you had before, especially if you're an absolute beginner. I cannot recommend it enough. Go through it first, and then you can continue with the series over here. And for the next step, we're gonna go to the Fabric MC website.
Alright, okay, we're gonna go here. We're gonna find, yes.
Alright, let's start with a Java introduction for Minecraft and Hightail modding. Alright, and we find ourselves here in the Java introduction for, like I said, Hightail and Minecraft modding. In this very beginning, I just wanted to give you an overview of what we will learn in this series. I do highly recommend you take a look at it because it's going to basically give you pointers as to which topics come in which order, and also it's going to give you an overview of the assignments that are going to come up. Broadly speaking, the entire series is split up into 5 big areas. The first thing is going to be absolute basics, then we're going to get into a few more intermediate topics, then we go into object-oriented programming, then we go into object-oriented programming sort of advanced steps, and then finally some coding tips after the last assignment. In between each of the areas, we're going to have different assignments. Those are optional, and I will always provide a solution that I made myself. And on one of the assignments, I will also go through the solution step by step and my thoughts while I'm doing it live. Hopefully those thoughts are going to be useful to you and how I basically arrived at that solution. One more thing that's quite important, of course, for Minecraft modding, Java is basically essential. You will need it one way or another. And for Hightail, it might be optional-ish depending on what you want to do and how the modding scene is going to develop. And even if you're not interested in either of them, you can still use this series to learn Java. That's totally fine. Some examples might be a little bit specific towards the modding side of things, but generally the basic Java is going to be the same. Right, so let's start by installing a couple of things. The first thing to install is a JDK. This is the Java Development Kit, and this actually allows us to write code with Java. Now I'm going
Alright. Temurin. Okay, right, let's get this. Let's get this. Oh my. I don't want to learn about Europe urine test.
going to link specifically this site over here because we're going to use JDK21. The reason for this is because in Minecraft currently we're using for modding JDK21. The differences are not really noticeable within the series. Theoretically, you could even go to JDK8, but right now we're going to use 21. You can always install multiple JDKs. That's not an issue whatsoever. So if you already have 21 installed, you can install 25 as well, and both of them will be available to you for creating things in Java. So that's totally fine. A little bit of a delineation. Most likely JDK21 is going to be for Minecraft modding, while JDK25 is going to be for Hightail modding. But once again, it doesn't matter which one you install. You can always install multiple ones.
The fuck are you doing, bud? I'm trying to learn Java code so I can make a mod. Whoa, unique. I know. Basically, I'm learning how to mod.
So for JDK21, we're going to go down, and I'm going to choose Windows over here.
I should know how to download, right? Alright.
This is going to be the installer, so I'm just going to click the download button right here, and that is going to download it. In just a second, we will see that this is going to download, hopefully. Otherwise, we can just click. There we go. There it downloads.
Yeah.
And this is installed on your PC like any other program. So we'll simply click this, get an installation wizard over here, and we'll simply click through. Of course, read the license agreements. Yes, absolutely. I'll install it for all users on this machine in my case. Here, I do want to...
Okay, right. We're gonna open this. Next. Accept. I totally read that. Install.
to modify the path variable, I will associate
I didn't hear that.
jar file machine in my case. Here I do want to modify the path variable. I will associate jar files with Java JDK, and I also want to the override the Java home variable. This is quite important because the Java home variable is a variable in your Windows machine that basically points to wherever your Java is installed. This is just going to make sort of a few error things a little bit easier. Do note, obviously, that if you have multiple JDKs installed, the Java home variable can only ever point to one of them. You can, however, within our sort of text editor that we're going to install in just a second, we can change what we point to in terms of the Java variable for a specific project as well. So this is a global variable that's going to be used as default, but we can also override that, let's say. In this case, I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to hit next, I'm going to hit install, and then from here we go and just wait until it is installed. All right, done and
Okay, buddy. Give me a few seconds. Give me a few seconds. I haven't completed yet. I should probably stop with the actions before I get, like, you know, banned. My god, it's gonna take forever. Okay, I should have accepted that, shouldn't I? Alright. Finish.
done. So we can hit finish and we can continue now installing our IDE. In this case, we will use IntelliJ IDEA, of course, also linked in the description below. Here, very importantly, we want to scroll down to the community version. I once again want to basically hammer this in. We want to scroll down to the community version. This is the one.
What's the community version? No, 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 no. What is the community version?
One that is free and built on open source. Apps.
I just guess that doesn't exist anymore. Oh, I get it now. Okay, I should have that installed then. Anyways.
Absolutely everything that we need. We do not need the ultimate version. We want the free community version that we get by scrolling down. I repeat this so often because multiple people have bought the ultimate edition not needing it. We want the community edition, the free and open source one. Simply scroll down over here and then hit the download button for whatever we need. As you can see, this is in this case for Windows. We download it. It pre-detects that it's for Windows. I'm pretty sure that it is available for all of the other platforms as well. You can also double check after you've downloaded it that the exe that you've downloaded is called Ideal C. That means that this is the community version. We're using IntelliJ because I'm simply used to using IntelliJ. If you want to use something like VS Code, you can. However, if you are a complete beginner, then I just recommend using the same tool that I'm using because otherwise it might get confusing. That's pretty much all that there is to it. But in theory, yes, you can use Eclipse, you can use VS Code. Heck, you can use, if you want to, Notepad++. I just don't recommend it, okay? I recommend using IntelliJ Community Edition. It's free anyway, so there you go.
Well, then I should have just used my child. I should have just used my child. I have VS Code right here. Okay, you know, we're gonna see if this is better than VS. If it is, then skip
So
it.
once again, we're going to install this like any other program onto our PC. So here the same thing. Next, now in this case, I already have an edition come with basically going to be anything so intelligent. There will now, and for you something like this should appear over here without the projects that already exist. Now obviously I have a bunch of different projects over here that are already have. Now for you there will be 3 different buttons that are important: the new project button, the open button, and the clone repository, get from VCS. It might be called slightly differently, but the general gist is going to be either we can make a new project, we can open an existing project, or we can get a repository from, let's say, GitHub or something like that. In our case, we want to click the new project button. When we do that, a new folder opens right here, and we can see that we can select different generators, we can select different project types, and all sorts of different things. In our case, we want to create a Java project over here. This is exactly what we want. We're going to title this. You can title this whatever you want. I'm going to say this is the Java Introduction 2025. Our build system is going to stay IntelliJ. We want to add some sample code. In the advanced settings, you can also change, you know, the module name, the root. We don't really need to change anything over here. In the location, we can of course change the location of the folder. So let's just change that. We simply click the
We're gonna make a new thing on my PC. Windows. Okay, wait, desktop. New. Java code. Yay.
the browse button over here. Now this will create it for me in my YouTube location, and it's going to be called Java Introduction 2025. I'm okay with that. The JDK, this is the one that we've just installed, 2021. You can see there's a bunch of other ones available because I also have, you know, the one from JDK 17 installed, 1.8, things like that. So there you go. However, like I said, we're going to use JDK 21 for this, but in theory, there's not that many crazy differences in terms of functionality, especially for absolute beginners. It's almost always going to be pretty much the same. With this, we'll hit the create button, and then a new window will appear. It's going to look kind of like this. All right, so we get the first arrow over here. This is actually a perfect moment to...
Okay, I'm gonna open this up on my secondary monitor now, and I can have this in full.
We'll take a look at a couple of things. So we can see that it is not found or it's corrupted. Very interesting. I've not had that happen before, but that's okay. We'll go to the top left corner over here to the main menu, and we'll go to project structure, and we can see indeed something is awry over here. All right, there we go. So for some reason, the error has, well, more or less cleared up. I can now use over here the existing JDK 21. I just had to repair the installation. So if this were to occur, you can simply rerun the main menu on the top left, project structure, and we can see we're using SDK 21, which is the most current version that we have so far. There you go. No errors are present, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. So for the time being, what we're going to do is we're going to make the project window here on the left a little bit smaller, just because this is our main focus, so to speak. We can zoom in over here, just hold control and scroll, and we can see we not only have, well, sample code given to us already over here, we actually have all sorts of different things, like a breakpoint, a couple of explanations. We will actually ignore most of this, and we will even delete a small thing. And that is going to be this first closing curly bracket. We're going to select everything over here and then hit the delete button over here. Click backspace one more time. And now this is set up like this. We'll also click on this red dot right here just to remove it. And now we have pretty much what we want in this case. Very importantly, right now for the time being, the only things that interest us are between this curly bracket right here and between this curly bracket. You can even see if I put the caret over here, then the other curly bracket highlights. So everything in between here, this is what we are going to focus on for the time being. Everything outside of that, right now, we're going to completely ignore. The reason I do this, I know a couple of people do not like this in the slightest. This is basically like wanting to run before you can even walk. It's not going to work. You're not going to understand what public class main, public static void main string args means. It doesn't make any sense right now, and that's okay. You simply have to take this, okay? This is where our program starts. If you're okay with that abstraction, I will promise you, this is the promise that I'm gonna make right now, you will be able to understand what everything means right here. By the end of the series, maybe even in the middle of the series, you will understand roughly what each of these different things mean. For the time being, I want you to put the trust in me that I'm going to deliver on this promise. That's sort of the idea. And finally, the last thing to do over here when we have started this for the first time, at the top right corner, we have this play button. Now, we also have play buttons right here, but we're going to use the one on the top right corner. I'm going to click this, and then what's going to happen is that the program is going to run, and for the first time, you will have output something, and that is hello and welcome. Usually we call this hello world, but there we go. We have now output something into the console, and that is actually quite significant, okay? Don't underestimate this as a step. This is pretty freaking cool, and this is basically the beginning of your programming journey, and this is the start of everyone's programming journey, outputting something into the console. And there we go. As per usual, everything will be linked in the description below, so you will have access to the entire source code. Everything that we downloaded, all of the links will also, of course, be linked down below. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. But that's going to be it for this setup tutorial. Let's talk about the Java basic syntax. Alright, we found ourselves back in IntelliGomes more, and in this tutorial, we're going to be talking about the Java syntax. So what does that even mean, right? So this basically means what is written in here, as in what are the rules of how things are written. In this specific video, we already have some stuff written in here. This is what I've prepared. You can double check this in the description below. There is a GitHub repository as well as a gist where exactly this code is basically in there. You can just highlight all of it if you really want to have this in your own IDE. You can highlight all of it. You can go back to the IDE, basically copy it from the browser, go back to the IDE, Control A over here, and then paste it in, and then you're gonna have the same.
Now let's copy and paste this then. Where is it? Is it this? Yes. Alright, Control C, Control V. I don't know why he says Control A. Alright, okay. Alright. Where's my thing now? Did I close it? Oh.
Thing in here as well if you really want to. Otherwise, you can also just follow along over here, maybe write something down on a piece of paper or something like that. That would also work. Anyway, the main thing we're talking about today is variables, as well as just a little bit of what variables mean and a little bit of vocabulary that you will need to know. Now, in the entire structure of this entire course and this entire introduction, there's a lot of vocabulary that you will need to know because it just clarifies certain things. So, for example, a variable. What is a variable? High overview, a lot of people discuss.
A variable is something that stores something. It's like a container. It stores something. It stores an information. I'm smart.
And then as buckets, I like the idea of a box better, but you know, whatever.
What did I say? I'm so smart.
Sort of simile or metaphor you can think of is fine. The idea is that we are going to have a box, and in that box we can put some amount of data in, or a certain value of data. Now, however, the thing is that this box has to be labeled not only with what type of data is in there, but also what the name of it is. That's the high-level overview, and that's basically what we have. Now, we can do sort of three things with a variable right now in this instance if we wanted to create a new variable. What we're going to do is we have to define whatever data type this is, right? And then we have to give the name of the variable and end that with a semicolon. You also see this down below. I'm going to explain this once again in just a second, but that's the idea. This is what we would call a declaration, because what we're doing is we're basically putting down a box and we're saying, hey, inside of this box there is a number, and this number is called points. However, we do not put a particular value in that box. If we were to assign a value, right, so this would be saying data type, then the name equals over here, so we have an equal sign, and then the value that we put actually into that box.
Okay, it is really easy. Int points, boom, initialized. The declaration. Then we have points, which is 100. So if I run that, will it? Okay, well it won't run anything, but I understand. Int points. Yeah. Except of course it has to be this stupid brackets, not brackets, colon. However.
A value, then that would be an initialization. which is both the declaration that we had over here. So this is the declaration, right? You can see those are exactly the same. And then also an assignment of value. So down below, we have an actual example of code. So here we define an integer. What those are, I'm going to explain that in the next lecture. So basically,
Wait, integers are just thingy. Wait. I forgot. Well, you can get car. Wait, why am I? No, I wanna see car for character. Let me. String for thingy. String. Or string. Whatever. Int. Yeah, okay, we're not gonna worry about that.
in the next lecture, we're going to go through all of the data types. So this is going to be all of the different types of data that your variables, that your boxes can be labeled with. And then there's types of data that you can put in there. And this goes very deep. There's tons of different things. But right now, we're just looking at this. So basically, integer, you can just think of it as a number, right? That's all we need to know here. So we're declaring a variable that's going to be of a type of integer, and it's going to be called points, and that's it. So we're going to declare it here. Now, below, we have points equals 100. So we first declared it. So we once are going to tell it, okay, the points variable has the data type of int, and then the next line we're saying, hey, points is now equal to 100. This is using the assignment operator. We'll talk about the assignment operator a little bit more in detail in a later lecture as well. But right now, basically, we have a box. On that box, we write points. And now inside of that box, we have put in 100 as a value. That's the idea. Then next line over here, as you can see, this is int x is equal to minus 69. Nice. This is an initialization because we're declaring the variable right here. And then we're immediately assigning it a value as well. Note that every one of those lines always ends with a semicolon, right? So every instruction, high-level overview, every instruction / every line has to end with a semicolon. We can...
Every instruction or line ends with a semicolon. Public class member. Oh. Oh.
even do this right here. If we uncomment this particular part over here, we can see int y equals...
Wait, the slashes are comments. And double slashes are comment. What's wrong?
equals 42, and then here it says semicolon is expected. So if we were to put one in, no more red underline, because now
Whoa.
this instruction is
This makes
correct.
sense.
I'm gonna keep it like this, just so that we have this here, but that's the general idea of the absolute very basics of the Java syntax. Once again, when it comes to anything, if you want to play around with
this makes sense.
feel free to do so. Do not be afraid if there's a red underline or something like that. You have a couple of things that are going to be very useful, and that is the Control-Z key, because that one will undo whatever you've done, right? So you can see I can continue to do this, or I can also go back and forth by doing either Control-Z or Control-Y, or rather Control-Shift-Z. So you can just basically go back and forth. The same thing also is available in the edit over here. So you can do undo and redo, so we could do that as well. Highly recommended to do that. If there ever is a mess up, you can always just go back as well, right? Do not worry about that. That's totally fine. And that's basically sort of the bow over here. So the vocabulary to think about is the declaration, assignment, and initialization of a variable.
I'm gonna go take a shit. Alright guys, I'm back. I had the fattest shit in my life. Oh, right. I'm back and ready to rumble.
So those are basically 4 different words that we need to think about and that we want to keep in mind. That's gonna be it for this video right here.
Right, now we're learning about data types.
Let's talk about data types and variables. Oh,
Alright, well then let's download this thing. She's probably got a thingy. Yeah, the gist. Oh my god, it's so big. Now let's delete all of this code. I know, bro. Can I stop seeing this thing? It's actually really annoying to just be seeing that. I thought this was supposed to be better than visual.
alright, we found ourselves back in Shelter once more, and in this video, we're going to be talking about data types and variables. So, we think back, variables, we've already heard that particular vocabulary, right? So we've heard about that, but there's a couple of more things that are going to be now added over here. First things first is there are comments that you can write inside of the code. Now, we've seen these basically at the top over here. We've also seen them over here. So there's a couple of instances where I have already done some comments. The code that you see here is also available down below in the GitHub repository and the gist, so you can double check it right there. You can copy it over if you want to, or just take a look at it there, take a look at it in the video. Either works totally fine. Whatever basically works for you. And we're gonna have a couple of vocabulary over here again, but not to worry. You're gonna find out like all of those are pretty straightforward, all things considered. So first things first, if we do a double slash over here, that is going to be a comment. That means that we can write whatever we want in here, and it is going to be completely ignored by basically the program. Right? So usually, if we were to just write whatever we want, all of a sudden it's like, this doesn't exist, whatever the case may be. We're honoring the syntax of Java. If we just write random crap in here, that is why that would turn red. However, if it's a comment over here, or a multi-line comment, as you can see, so slash star and then a star slash, right, and everything in between here is a multi-line comment. Those can be quite useful for explaining stuff. Sometimes some people say that you should basically never have a comment and the code should explain itself. I believe for absolute beginners, you can completely disregard this. If it is useful to you to write a comment, that's totally fine. At the end of the intermediate stage, that's when you can stop writing comments. What sometimes can also be extremely useful is the following. If you are writing code, right? So this is, you don't even need to know anything yet, but obviously when we write code, we are going to solve a particular problem, right? And very often, and we are going to see this especially in the exercises. The exercises are going to be super useful, and I'm going to show exactly the same idea there. Comments can be really useful when you go and you make your program, meaning you have a particular problem. Hey, I need to calculate this particular thing. I want to convert this thing into this thing. Then what you can do is you can write comments in your code before you write your code. You can say step 1, read in file. And then you can do step 2 has to be, I have to clean up input, and so on and so forth, right? So you can write down, okay, it's each step that I need to take. This is really good, and it's a very, very good idea. This is one of the really useful ways to use comments in your code in order to say, okay, these are the steps that I need to go to, because every single thing that you have when you are programming is you have a big problem and you want to break it down and break it down and break it down into smaller and smaller and smaller problems until basically you have each individual line is one like singular tiny problem that you solve. Highest level overview once again, but that's sort of the idea. And that's where comments can be really useful. We think back once again about variables, right? So variables were a data type and then a name of a variable. That would be our declaration. You can also immediately initialize a variable by telling it its data type, then the name of the variable, and immediately using the assignment operator equal over here to assign a value to that specific variable.
Yeah.
Now, we have different data types, and we're going to talk about the basic data types that exist over here, and those are, as you can see, all orange. So everything that is orange inside of IntelliJ in this case is a keyword. So keywords are always important words. We can even see, we're just going to peek out, just like a slight peek at the top over here. We can see, oh, there's another stuff that's orange over here, public static void, interesting, also orange. Yes, so orange is always keywords that are reserved by the language. So that means that Java has int in this case as a keyword. So int just means integer, right? It's short for integer in this case. And this data type stores whole
No?
numbers, right? This includes negative ones as well. So an integer can store a value between, you know, minus 2.1 billion to plus 2.1 billion. That's the idea. And we've seen this previously, right? We can here declare it, we can then assign it, and then we can initialize a different variable right here, in theory. And we go from integers to the next one, which is floating point numbers, not floating point numbers. That's something completely different. But yeah, floating point numbers. There's two basic types that we're looking at. That is the float and the double. In high-level overview, most likely, let's say in Minecraft modding, you're probably going to see a lot of floats. I'm unsure what is going to be used in Hightail modding. I'm not sure about that. But in Minecraft, mostly floats are used. The general idea is that doubles are a little bit more precise, as in they have more numbers after the dot, and so there's a precision that's higher there, and floating point numbers are not as precise. Also, very important note for floating point numbers, they can tend to have rounding errors, okay? So that's why, for example, this is a very apt example. If you ever were to make an account, let's say you make a bank, right? Maybe this is also kind of an exercise that we're going to do in the later video. Basically, if we have the account value, let's say over here, right? And make this a float, you can say, well, we're just going to make it a float. That's totally fine. And now we have, let's say, you know, $20 and 20 cents in there. And for a float, we always need to end this with an F. You can see this is also ended with an F. That's the very specific thing for a floating point number. Otherwise, it's going to see this as a double. We should be able to see this. You know, we provide over here a double, right? Because it's going to interpret this as a double, so we can put an F over here. If you want to be really precise for a double, you can also put a D at the end, and then it's going to really make sure that, okay, this is a double. But you don't have to. It's going to auto basically recognize this as a double in this case. But yeah, here we now have an account value, let's say in our bank, of $20.20. And you might say, that's totally fine. No. You would never want to do this, because floating point numbers are error prone for precision. This means that it can happen that this turns into 199999999. Now you might say, is that really that bad? It's like, well, let's say this happens to 1 million accounts, and some of them maybe count upwards and some of them count downwards, and this happens, you know, however often you do a transaction, complete disaster, that could never work, right? So that is a very important thing. Floating point numbers can sometimes, you know, mess up a little bit, but most of the time in a very tiny way. So for storing things like the position in a 3D space, that's not the biggest deal. If it's off by like, you know, 1/1000th or 1/1,000,000th of one floating point number, that's fair enough. But when it comes to something like currency, yeah, that's never do this, right? This is what we would always use integers, because those are straight to the point, always going to be, you know, 150. So you would basically put the dollar value in one integer and the cents value in another. That's the idea. And the way that the floating point numbers, or doubles in this case, are written inside of the computer, let's say, is scientific notation. You probably have seen this previously, right? Maybe in high school or university somewhere. Basically, the idea is that you store a number, then you store 10, and then to whatever power you want, right? In this case, this scientific notation is going to create pi over here, right? So 3.14159.265, right? So here, written out as a whole number, actually. So this is actually going to be 300 million, and then times 10 to the minus 8, and that's then going to put the decimal point right here. That's the idea, and that's how it's represented within the code, let's say, or within the metal even. All right, next up, another really cool one, and that is booleans. Booleans can only have two different values, and that is true or false. You can see if you like the video,
Nah,
hey,
bruh.
that's awesome. If you're subscribed and that's false, that's not nice, but maybe we can turn this into a true as well. Who knows? But that's the idea of booleans. Booleans are super versatile. They will help you figure out if certain things are true or false. So basically, how much health do I have? And then I can say, hey, do I have this much health or more? I can ask things like, am I dead, right? So this could be a thing that is expressed true or false, right? So this is, of course, in, let's say in a game, right? Is alive could be something that could be asked that then be answered with a boolean. So in that sense, that is what booleans are for. Could be real. Those are going to be really useful, and we're going to go deep into sort of how they work, because in theory those are, well, this is, 0 and 1. We can also represent it like that. That is booleans. Like I said, we're going to go much deeper into this in a future video as well. And finally, we got chars and strings. This is the first one where we have a bit of a more complex type as well. But first of all, the char, that stands for character. And you can see those are written with a singular quotation mark, right? So that's very, very important, because everything that you see here, right, everything that I've written here is not only always has to be extremely precise. So there's a couple of things that don't have to be precise. White spaces. They don't have to be precise. You can see I can put in as many spaces as I want. That's totally fine.
Yeah,
the program
makes
does
sense.
not care about that at all. Although it will probably make things less readable if you just put in white space everywhere. But in theory, you could, let's say, for example, the equals could be here. That's totally okay. What, of course, wouldn't work is this, because then it wouldn't know where does the char start and where does it end. So that it doesn't work everywhere, but it works in a lot of places, right? So spaces can be put everywhere. But a lot of other things, if I were to, let's say I want to add this grade variable and I wanted to reference it somehow, if I write grade, you can see it turns into red. Why? Because this is written in uppercase and this is written in lowercase. Even things like that are extremely important. You really have to look at this very precisely. So if you get an error like this, it should tell you, wait a second, I've messed up somewhere, and it's likely going to be some sort of, how did I write it? Right, so that's very, very important to always note of this, because I've seen people be a little bit unprecise with these things, and in some capacities or in some places that's not an issue, but in places like this that's really an issue. So as you can see, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more over here. You can see that the grade right here, the character grade, is a singular quotation mark, then basically whatever character we want, right? We can put in a hashtag, we can
So
put in a
calculate,
plus,
you have to do single.
even a non-English character over here, an Ö, an A, whatever I want, a scharfes S, whatever I want to put in here, I can put in there. Even a space in theory, because that's also obviously a character, right? Even a number can be represented as a character. In this case, let's just put in an A, let's say, and that's fine. But there can only ever be one, because as soon as we put in another one, you're gonna see, that does not work. There can only be one character, well, in a character. Should make sense, right? It's one singular character. Now, if we put multiple characters next to each other, then we get a string. Now, what you'll find here is that the string over here is not marked as a keyword. That's correct. In this case, in Java, it's not a keyword, but you can think of this as a bit of a more complex sort of data type, right? It's not a basic data type, but in my opinion, it should still be talked about in this instance when we talk about data types, because a string represents multiple characters next to each other. It can also represent a sentence. That's totally fine. Carpenter likes this video. That would work totally okay, as long as it is written within the quotation marks over here. Very important. Those are the quotation marks that you get. You should get this from Control 2, I believe. I think that this is the same on a QWERTY keyboard. Let me double check. Well, I was wrong. It is this one right here. So basically, this is the singular quotation mark. This is the double quotation mark. Listen, I have a QWERTY keyboard. My quotation mark is in the 2 over here. So there you go. Whatever the case may be, though, this is the double quotation mark that you need to basically signify this is a string. And as long as you're within them, you can even see that if I were to, highlight this, you can see the other one is highlighted as well. So everything in between here is going to be interpreted as part of this string. And those are the different data types that we have available. Now, in the future, we're going to be able to make custom data types and all sorts of crazy things, and make really complex things with just the ones that I've presented over here. With an integer and a float and a boolean and a character or a string. just those alone can make something spectacularly complex, because those are usually all of the things that you need in order to make really cool things and just go crazy with it, basically. In this video, we talked about data types, integers, floats, doubles, booleans, characters, as well as strings. That's the vocabulary you should think about and basically note down. We will go into basically all of them in a little bit more detail, specifically integers. Then we're going to go into booleans at some point as well, and strings also, so we're going to have a little bit more in-depth usage of all of them. But with that said, that's going to be it for this video right here. Hope you found this useful and you learned something new. I'll see you all in...
Okay. I just want to test this, like, up, up, up. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do, but ah, and then we can finish it. Yo. Can I not just do it like that? Oh, it does actually have to be the single bracket. Or the single thing. Yo. I've learned some stuff. Okay, I learned some stuff. I'm gonna go then for now. I'm gonna save this though. If I can. I don't have to save stuff. You run it, right? Yeah, you run to save, I'm pretty sure. Alright, let's just save all. And I'ma go. Yes. Alright, see you guys. I hate you all.